don't even. I don't really know what kind of energy I should bring to this, because the whole purpose of starting this podcast was to talk about positive things. But if I'm going to have a podcast called Austin Stand Up Comedy, I gotta address it. So it'll be a little reminiscent. It's going to be a little sad, but so I wanted to talk about Cap City a little bit. Unfortunately, I think there was saw a bunch of posts today on Facebook and other sites that Cap City was closing its doors. So I kind of just wanted to talk about my experience with them, kind of like my experience with other comics and what it meant to me, and just reminisce a little bit. So the first, well, I don't know. I want to start a little bit talking about comedy in general. Is like, I think that when I was making music, there was a part of me that wanted to be a cool, brooding, sexy musician. And it just never really made sense. There are some artists that are sexy, all right? Like Frank Ocean, Madonna. They're just sexy people. Whatever they do is sexy. And that's not me, but I tried to be that for years. And I remember finally hitting a breaking point. I've talked about this on a past episode, where I just decided that it wasn't for me. So I, on a wild hair, ditched plans that I had made with friends and went to my first open mic. So then after that, I was obviously hooked. It wasn't at Cap City for the first one, but I do remember driving by Cap City and thinking like, there's no way they're just going to let me in there. Like there's gotta be some kind of rules around it, right? So after I'd done a couple open mics, I decided like, all right, I'm ready. So I'm going to go check out this open mic here. I didn't sign up. I wouldn't have dared sign up the first time I went there. And I'd done a couple bars before then. And I remember getting there, and I remember like before I even left to go there, I was conscious about everything I was wearing. I was like, okay, don't wear any weird shoes. Wear like muted colors. Don't wear anything bright. Don't stand out. Get in, find a spot in the corner, and then just, try to watch before anybody's like, identifies you as like, hey, get out of here, man. You can't be in here. So I remember walking up. I was so nervous. Like I'm a grown man. This was like a year ago, less than a year ago. And I remember being so nervous, and I paid the $2 or $3 to get in. I remember going to the corner and then watching people go up, and people do well and people do poorly. But I mean, up until that point, it was just like doing comedy at bars where it's, just a couple people there. Some of them are there just to drink, but these people were there to see comedy. I mean, that's what this place represented. That's what it was you go there to see comedy. And when you got a laugh out of people in a room like that, it was unreal. I remember the first time ever feeling like I was like connected to a comedy scene was watching shows in that venue. So I went to a bunch of open mics. I went to the first show was Andrew Dismukes had come in town, which he was an Austin guy. I didn't realize that at the time. And Kyle Castillo was with him, and then Andrew Murphy had actually opened up. Talked about Andrew Murphy on another episode. But it was crazy, man, to be in that room and to see people doing comedy. And it was like this. I'd only watched comedy in the small room before that. Then when we went to the big room, it was like just a completely different animal. It was like, oh man, like I've something once I had left, I remember thinking like that's what I aspired to do. Like I'm gonna work really hard in Austin so I can get in that big room and they'll put my name on the site and people will go to see me. That's maybe it's a little cheesy to talk about that stuff out loud, but that's the way I felt. Um I've actually only I mean I've been there a bunch of times. I watched some Punch comedy sets. I saw Vanessa Gonzalez when she came in town. Um I I only performed one time at Cap City. I've talked about it in a past episode. Maybe I'll post a clip of a little bit. It was like one of the best crowds I've ever been in. Definitely the biggest. Um, thank God it went well. If it would have went poorly, I may have never done anything in comedy ever again. But I remember walking off stage and feeling like super excited and feeling like, man, this is what like I it was the closest I'd ever felt to feeling like a real comic being on that stage. And I know I'm blowing it out of proportion maybe, but that's I'm just being honest. Um so it sucks, it sucks to hear about this happening. Um that a business and a place as special as that can be lost when nobody did anything wrong, you know? It's just a weird point in the history of the world that we all happen to be taking part in and watching carnage pretty much like all around us. And it's tough to deal with. And, um, it's not easy, man. I remember there was a period earlier this year where it's like I was learning things constantly that just were scary to me. Um, but I mean, what choice do you have but to deal with it? So I don't know. I don't want to get too off topic, but I remember well, so I actually bought into FPIA. I still have the tickets. I don't know what to do with them. I'll have to frame one of them, I guess, or a couple of them. Shit, they give me like hundreds. I don't even know how many they give me. Um, and I was actually supposed to do the last open mic they did before they canceled it. Um, so it's a little, I was bummed out about that. But I mean, there's a lot more to be bummed out for other people. I remember the staff was always cool. There's one time in particular I remember for Vanessa Gonzalez show whenever she was in town. Is I'm a moron, so I read the website wrong and I ended up showing up in the middle of one of the shows. And they were like, "Oh, you can't go in." I mean, you can, but it's halfway through. So, um, I went inside at the bar. I'm guessing he's the owner is a guy. I don't know what his name was, but he's kind of an older dude. Not older. He's probably in his 40s or 50s. Went and got my ticket corrected. Got me a ticket to the next show. So I just sat at the bar having a drink. And Danny Goodwin was at the bar as well. And it's the first time I met him, so I got to talk to him. That was also a super cool feeling because, like, to me, he seemed like the most legitimate a comedian around that I'd seen. So it was cool to talk to him. Felt like I kind of put my foot in my mouth a little bit, but um, and I remember that they brought him like a free brownie. They were like, "You want a brownie?" He was like, "Hell yeah!" So they gave him a brownie. I was just like, "Man, I know." It just seemed like, yeah, this is what I need to aspire to do. He just also seemed very comfortable there. And I was just in such a state of discomfort every time I went in there in terms of like, I wanted to be there really bad. And, I like, it kind of had that feeling of like, all right, I don't want to fuck anything up to where they'll kick me out. Just meant a lot to me, that particular venue. So to have it kind of taken away is, I'm sure it's a hit for a lot of people. I'm sure stuff will come up in the future in terms of comedy clubs, but that was, there's no denying that was a special place. Um, Kind of reminded me a little bit of like Cheatham Street Warehouse in San Marcos. It's like there's just kind of an energy in there that you can't describe it. You just gotta kind of feel it. Um, But I also remember one of the last shows I went to before the COVID shutdown was I talked about it the very first episode of the series, and it was Andre Ricks was there, and I was chatting with him, and he was like, "Well, yeah, you know, you can go to Cap City. If you're a comic, they let you in for free." And I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, it's awesome." And I actually knew about that, but I paid anyways, just because I never really got the guts to feel honest about being like, "Yeah, you know, I'm a comic." So I don't know. Sounds probably like I'm just rambling about stuff. I just kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit. It's definitely a special place. I mean, if anybody who was involved with Cap City hears this for some reason, I wish you the best of luck. Hope you land on your feet. I hope that, you know, there are good things in your future. But I don't know, I might wrap this up. Thank you guys for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy. Stand-up comedy will be back. Have a great day. Also, just got a lot of red flags that I got into the wrong industry, you know? Got an email from Facebook one time that said, "Hey Ryan, you've made 0 new fans this month." Then why'd you send me an email?